right, and welcome to our next lab, which is monitoring fabric activity in the monitoring hub. This lab is going to take us approximately 30 minutes to complete if you're unfamiliar with Microsoft Fabric. But in this lab video will take considerably less amount of time since we're already quite familiar with Fabric. So let's jump into our first task, which is creating a workspace. In order to create a workspace, we're going to go to the workspaces here and click on plus new workspace. And we're going to call this workspace DP-700 Lab 15 and make sure that we have the trial selected, fabric trial, or if you don't have access to trial, you can also choose the premium capacity or the fabric capacity if you have access to it. All right. Now that we have our workspace created, let's go and to the next task and create a lake house. So now to do that, I'm going to click on the plus new item and scroll down to store data and select a lake house. Let's give the lake house the same name as our workspace, lab 15, and create. There you go. We do not have any data yet in this lake house, but we will soon have some data. Now let's go to the next task where we will create and monitor a data flow. In order to do that, let's go to the Get Data button and say we're going to get some data into this lakehouse using a new data flow Gen 2. Give that a second and it will load. We'll get a new data flow named Data Flow 1. And the first thing we will do once this data flow has opened successfully is rename it from Data Flow 1. You can see over here to Get Product Data. So I'm just going to copy that from here. Get Product Data. All right. And here from the designer, we're going to import some data from a CSV file. And I'm going to just copy this link. And paste it here. And we're going to use an anonymous connection. And we're going to create a new connection. So we're not going to change anything else here. And we're going to click Next. All right. So we're going to import this data. All right, and so now we can see the data destination is a lakehouse because we have created this data flow from the lakehouse and we want to get data into the data in the lakehouse. So we don't need to do anything else for now. We can just publish this. And then let's monitor this activity. So let's go to this monitor option in the menu and we can just refresh this. For now, you can see I have gonna wait for a little bit for the data flow to get published successfully. And there you go. Once it's successfully published, we have the get product data. The status is in progress for now. The item type is data flow gen 2 and the start time is about 8:37 a.m. All right. Let's wait for a couple of more seconds till this is succeeded and we have gotten data into our lakehouse. Let's refresh it to make sure that it has succeeded. Let's give it a minute. There you go. It's now succeeded. So let's go back to our lakehouse to make sure that we have this data in here. Just going to refresh my lakehouse and load it again. And there you go. I have my product table with the data from my CSV file. All right. The next task, let's create and monitor a Spark notebook. So let's go to Home and let's create a new notebook. We don't have the option here, so I'm just going to go here and click on a new item and scroll down here until I find the notebook option. We have a new notebook called Notebook 1 is created, and we're going to rename this notebook to Query Products. All right. And let's connect to our lakehouse. There you go. All right. So what we're going to do is click on these three dots for the products table, and we're going to load data into a Spark data frame and just run this code. And for now, we can collapse the lakehouse pane or the Explorer pane. All right, and now we can see the result of this command, PySpark command. And what we're going to do is stop the session because we're not going to work in this notebook anymore. And let's navigate back to the monitor pane. And you can see we have now another um, activity created. Let's refresh that because it still says in progress, although we have stopped the session here, it's not running anymore. So let's go back to here and refresh this again. It should say succeeded, but for some reason it doesn't, but that's fine, right? And we can also monitor the history for an item. So let's go to our workspace and uh, let's go here and let's refresh this now. So let's refresh this data flow, which means it's rerunning this data flow. Okay, so it's re-executing this data flow. So now if we go back to the monitoring pane and refresh it here, you can see now we have the get product data in progress again, and the query products is now succeeded. So if we want to see historical runs, what we can do is go to this get product data and select historical runs. And you can see it was run previously at 8:37, and now the one in progress is run at 8:41. So we can see the entire history of all the runs of this data flow. All right, so we can close this details page and go back to the main view. And this is the main monitoring view in Microsoft Fabric. We can also customize our monitoring hub views. So we can filter, for example, and I want to see only the ones that succeeded, and the item type should be Dataflow Gen 2, for example. So you can see all of your Dataflow Gen 2 items which are of status succeeded, for example. And also you can use the column options to add some more columns. So for example, I have activity name, status, item type, start time, submitted by, location. I also want the end time, I want the duration, and I want the refresh type. And I can apply. And so you can see I have more detail now available, for example, for my events, for my activities. Sorry. And with that, we are come to the end of this lab. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another one.